Is Heinz Field cool though? I've never been to Heinz Field.
Yeah, Heinz Field is a cool area. Yeah, it's a
Not the
cool.
link though.
Yeah,
No, not even close. Hello, everyone. Today we have a very special guest joining us from Nashville. We have Holdyn Barder. Thanks for joining us today, man. And how's everything going for you?
Guys, what's going on? Thanks for having me. Everything is great. I can't complain. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's 90 degrees outside and sunny. So it's full-blown summer here.
I love it. I love it.
We think it's finally summer in Pennsylvania, too. The weather's finally pretty good.
Yeah? What is it, like 70, 75?
Yeah. It's been so bipolar the past couple of weeks. You never know what to expect.
As always, here too, it's like 50 one week and then it goes to 90. And next week I'll jinx it and we'll go back to 40 or something.
It's going to be like a blizzard next week.
Yeah, there could be. You never know, man.
So yeah, Holdyn, to get us started, can you tell us kind of your story, like how you ended up in Nashville, being from Philly? What's the story of how you've gotten here?
I appreciate you guys, Caleb, Logan, for having me on. This is great. Crazy story. I guess I'll start from the very beginning. So as I said, I'm here in Nashville, but we got to chat about how I got here. I was born in Houston. I guess we'll start from the very beginning. I was born in Houston, lived there until I was about 3, and I kind of remembered growing up with Garth Brooks, Brooks and Dunn, George Strait playing in the background of my mom's car. My whole family's originally from Northeast Philly. They moved back to Philly. My mom and dad were the only ones in Texas, but our whole family was still in Philly. We moved back. I was a baby, grew up Bucks County, and kind of lost touch with country music throughout my whole childhood. I mean, Philly's not, I would argue now it is a little more popular with country music, but back in the day, 20 so years ago, I say that back in the day, people probably listening to this and be like, that's not long ago, but country music isn't really like the main thing in Philly, you know, or the area. So I kind of lost touch with it throughout my entire school through, I'd say, high school. And then I was literally in the gym one day, and this was like, oh my gosh, 2013 or 2012 or something. And I remember this song that I heard from years ago popped up on a Spotify playlist. And I was like, what the heck is that? Like, you ever have one of those feelings where like you just smell something or you hear something, it like brings you right back to like where that thing was, that memory, right? So that was like me times 100 with all these songs. So I went and looked up like 90s country, and it was a Diamond Rio song. Anyway, I started loving country again and getting back into it. I've always loved it, but I didn't really listen to it my whole childhood. Then I started playing guitar a little bit. I found a blue guitar-shaped paperclip on top of my tennis bag one day during a match, and I was like, how the hell did that get there? So I took it as a sign to start playing guitar, and then I was like, well, maybe I should add some singing to it also. And so I started singing, and then before my freshman year, which was at Lafayette College in Easton, I had played a couple shows, but it wasn't really a serious profession for me. It was just kind of like, you know, me after school, just hanging out with my buddies and playing guitar and stuff. It wasn't anything deep. I taught myself guitar. I looked up stuff on YouTube. Marty Schwartz, he was my guy for a while. I don't know if you guys play guitar or anything, but every guitar player knows Marty Schwartz. But I would watch all his videos and I would just teach myself. And I was dating this ex-girlfriend at the time in my freshman year, and she claimed to be my manager, so I don't even know. But the good part of that relationship was that she pushed me to post online and to get myself out there, and that was probably the only good part of that. But I started doing that, and my first couple of videos did really well, surprisingly, and I was like, wow. I was like, all right, maybe I should post a few more. So I did. I bothered my neighbor next door in the dorm next to me, Ethan, my buddy Ethan, and he would always yell and complain, turn it down, you know. But I just started falling in love with music. I was a physics major at Lafayette College, and I remember sitting at my dorm room desk, and I had to literally pick mentally in my head, do I do the problem set on my table or do I sit here with the guitar on my lap? I had two in front of me. So I finished the problem set real quick. I think I got a C on it, which I'm a great student, and that says a lot about me getting a C to me. Then I stayed up all night and played guitar, and I started falling in love with music more. There was a good friend of mine, we still are connected today, Tom Kozik. He was the only one who really understood Nashville and country music. He was my guitar instructor at Lafayette, and he's like, man, you really start looking at Nashville, start going down there. So I started going down, met a manager, started coming to town, and every time I came here, My sophomore year at Lafayette, I just wanted to keep coming back more every single time. So it just eventually got to the point where I was like, you know what, I got to transfer. My junior year, I transferred to Belmont University here in Nashville. That was right before COVID. Worked an internship at Big Machine Label Group here in town, and then the world shut down. I was on cloud nine moving here in Nashville. It was just the best thing I could have ever done. Yeah, the world shut down. So then I had to move back to Philly for a year. It was just a challenging time, but we're here now full time. But that's kind of how my journey started. It's kind of a weird story because I found a blue guitar shaped paperclip that inspired me to start playing songs. And, you know, I would go to concerts all the time, like Luke Bryan and Kenny Chesney. I would sit there and just watch and study and be like, wow, I want to be like that one day. I'm very grateful and fortunate that I've had the ability to move here and to do this thing. So we're here now. If you can't tell, I love talking, and this interview is going to be very fun. So that's kind of my story of how it started, and we're here now. So
You're right. It's a different story, but it all worked out.
Totally.
Now that you're in Nashville, based off all your social media accounts, I think I already know what your answer is going to be, but what are some of the hobbies you have going on?
Well, I love watching the Eagles and the Phillies. Can't tell. I love my Philly sports. I love being outside as much as I can, being down the shore. I love going out fishing. I love swimming, kayaking, paddleboarding, anything on the beach, anything outside. Here in Nashville, it's challenging because we don't have a beach here. So, you know, I always try to get out as much as I can, at least on a lake or a buddy who has a boat or something. Down the shore in the summertime, I always try to come back up for shows. So it's a good fine balance. But I love playing tennis too. Like I said, I played tennis my whole life, played in college, and music kind of took over my after school times. I just joined a men's league actually, but problem was I ended up breaking my big toe 2 months ago and had to back out of the league, which sucked because it was my first time playing in like a year. I was like, of course, the week that I sign up for this thing, I break my toe.
Right.
Only my luck. But yeah, man, I love tennis. I love the beach. I love being outside. I love traveling too. I'm always all over the place. I'm heading to Dallas next week for not the Cowboys, but I'm heading for the ACM Awards and a Billboard country event, and then I'm heading to Italy. Then I'm going to Chicago. My drummer's opening up for Tim McGraw, so we're going to hang backstage there. A lot of cool stuff, man. A lot of fun stuff. So I love traveling too.
It seems like from your posting, it seems like you're all over the place. Yeah, all the time.
I literally am. I am. And you know what? For shows, like, you have to be, you know, you got to travel. But apart from that, I love traveling around the world. I've got family in Australia. I've got people down there. So I try to get down there when I can. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I just got back from Egypt in September. Crazy stuff. Yeah.
It's awesome. You got to do it while you can. So,
amen.
You talked about college at Lafayette and then Belmont. You just recently posted that you're doing online school. What's that kind of look like for you?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I just started a finance class at Harvard University. My music business degree, you know, did a great job, but there's some things I wanted to polish, you know, finance stuff. So for my own business, for my own music and running my business, actual multiple businesses here in Nashville. It's been cool, man. I definitely am not a fan of taking exams again, which I just did last night. The cool part is, like, I actually want to learn it now because in school, you know, undergrad and high school, and it kind of feels forced in a way. You're forced to learn it. And
Right.
you know, you're like, I just want to graduate. For some people, and that was my case, not everybody, but when you choose to go back yourself, it's like, okay, like there's a little more effort and desire to want to learn something. And so it makes it go by really easy. The classes have been great, actually. It's smooth sailing. And I love it because I can, you know, play shows. I'm playing CMA Fest this summer. I'm sure we'll talk about shows. Might be announcing a Jersey Festival for late June very soon and a couple more. So it allows me to be flexible. And I love learning. I love trying to improve. I'm just kind of a workaholic. I can't not sit still.
How do you balance like all that travel and then on top of like classes and studying for exams, homework? Like, how are you able to manage your music career on top of going to college as well?
Dude, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know how I do it. Somehow I'm still alive. No, I try to sleep a lot. I try to drink a lot of water. I go to the gym. I'm trying to be better about that, eating right. You know, I'm almost 26. When you get to 26, that's very different than 22 or 21. You know, you start realizing, oh, wow, like taking care of myself is a little more important now than it was before. And so the classes I'm in right now don't take much of my time. I wouldn't say I'm really in school. I guess I am, but I'm in a course or two. But among shows, among performing here in Nashville, among rehearsing, recording, songwriting, having time to just do nothing and chill, travel. I mean, there's so much. And I use Google Cal for everything. I swear by Google Cal. That's kind of my bread and butter. You know, everything G Suite I love. It keeps me sane. My whole Google Drive's organized. I'm a very organized person, so I think that really helps me. If I had ADHD or something, I don't think I'd be doing too well. So it's definitely a challenge, but we're hanging in there, and so far everything's doing well. So I'll just keep it up. It isn't broken. I'm not going to fix it.
Last question before we get into your music. What music are you listening to right now? What's on your playlist?
Oh, man. Well, I kind of go through like different moods of stuff. Today I was jamming out to like old Randy Travis, old 90s, 80s country. I love 90s country just because I grew up on it. But man, I can't stop listening to like this really intense hype gym music. I don't know if you found like Spotify playlists of just like hard metal rock just going at it at the gym. It gets me so fired up. I don't even listen to that usually, but if I'm at the gym or something, I'm like turning on, you know, Disturbed or somebody. And so that gets me going. I listen to so much, dude. I listened to Beethoven the other day. I listen to Morgan Wallen a lot. I love Morgan's stuff and his records he's about to put out. Post Malone's working on a country album, so I'm excited for that. You know, there's so much going on that I think I just kind of listen to whatever I'm feeling. But definitely Morgan, Hardy, all the Big Loud crew. Luke Bryan's my favorite, so, you know, all time. So I always have Luke on. Luke Combs, I love. Sam Hunt. I've really been digging Morgan's stuff. And not to sound, you know, like everybody else in the country world, country fans wise, but like his deep cuts are really good. And as a songwriter, the way I listen to music might be different from the way you listen. Like when I listen to music, I think of like the songwriting and how they did this or how that producer did this one little thing. And it's very analytical. And then I can enjoy it once I study it. It's interesting, man. Like I'll just turn on something random or on my release radar. I'll just listen and be like, all right, that's good. That's not good. I see what he did there. And I use that as kind of a way to study on how to do my stuff. But yeah, man, I listen to everything under the sun. It's crazy. I had rap on earlier. I had country on 20 minutes ago. I had Bach and Beethoven on yesterday. So it's like, I'm all over. I love Spanish music too, man. I love Enrique, Pitbull. Pitbull gets me going, dude.
A little bit of everything. No, that's
Mr.
awesome.
Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
I can relate to that because I recently just graduated from college with a film major, and I'm like,
oh, congrats, dude.
Thank you. But every time I watch a movie, I always like dissect the movie and how it's edited and how like they were able to like produce the movie. When you're listening to music, is there knowing so much about like the music production, is it not like ruined, but is there like kind of like a sense of predictability when listening to music now that you didn't previously have before, if that question makes sense?
It depends on the artist usually. If it's anything on country radio, yes, it's very predictable. There's a science to songwriting for music business. If it's something that isn't intended for radio, then it's usually a lot more harder to pinpoint. But radio is always, you know, hits the hook in the chorus within 30 to 35 seconds. They usually put the hook in the intro. Verses are pretty short, and they jam that hook in as much as they can. I talk about that with my buddies too a lot. It's like, are we writing for country radio here, or are we writing for music and for art? Because there's two different things. And in answer to your question, yeah, I look at things like that too, whatever I listen to in my own songs. And yeah, it is similar to film, I think, because I wouldn't say the analysis of it all ruins my perception of the music, but I love when an artist can, and someone who does this really well is Hardy, is take something that you think is going to sound the way you think it'll sound and completely shift it and still make it badass enough to where it's not weird. So he can do it in a way he's one example of an artist and a songwriter who can change up production or the writing and just enough to where it's different and stands out, but still can go on the radio or still can, you know, get streamed a certain way. It's fascinating, man. I've done so much deep diving on this. I could talk for hours about songwriting, but I'll save us the time. I look at it all like that. And then sometimes I almost wish I was still a fan, you know, because, which I am at heart, but, you know, I wish I was only a fan because then I could just appreciate it without just hearing all the little things in it. But it makes you want to do it, and that's why I'm here.
Transitioning to the start of music, when did you kind of first start doing music, first memories singing wise, like early memories of music?
I started in like high school, right before I went to Lafayette. I did this showcase at my high school called Live Music Weekend, and it was basically a talent show without judging. And so it was just all these kids and musicians forming bands, solo, whatever it was. It was just a concert weekend for the students, which was pretty dope. We performed. It was my first live performance ever, aside from my middle school graduation. And we sang, I think, Little Black Submarines by the Black Keys. So I sang a Luke Bryan song, and I think I sang a Pitbull song. There's a video somewhere, Enrique and Pitbull cover I did with my buddy who spoke Spanish. It was something. I gotta find that video. That'll be one of those videos that like goes on the deep abyss of YouTube, you know, one day, and someone's searching it, and it's like, holy crap, we uncovered this, you know. It's one of those videos. It shouldn't be seen. I played that, and man, the rush I felt when I played that show, that was hands down one of my favorite memories, like just as a performer and entertainer, because that was my first live show in front of a crowd on a stage. And they went nuts. I had only rehearsed the songs maybe once before. I knew them as a fan, but it was cool to see them, you know, react. And they're like, wow, oh my God, you know, and this is high school, right? It's like junior year. You feel like you're the man, you know, and I looked back a couple of years ago after that. It sounded great. You think like, oh man, it didn't really it actually sounded great. I was really proud of that performance since it was my first one. And I had done theater. I had done musical theater too. So I was used to being on the stage in front of people, but it was neat to channel that drive and that passion to be on a stage and perform through music, which I hadn't done yet. And I'll never forget that night. It was with my buddy Paris Parker, Paul Ruzicki, and Cooper Finer, and the four of us played. And I got to find that video. I'll share it on my socials so you guys can see it. It's fun, man. It's a cool video. And then another memory, I remember coming to Nashville for the first time, and I met a good friend of mine now. Her name's Gracie. She was a server at the Opry Backstage Grill. She had introduced herself, and I went out and shook her hand, and I said, oh, you know, it's great to meet you. And so at that restaurant in Nashville, the servers actually hop up on stage and sing, and then they serve you food and they sing. Anyway, so she had sung and then gave me my chicken fingers and fries or whatever. And then I was like, oh, where do you go to school and all? She's like, oh, I go to Belmont, and I work at Big Machine. And I always tell my friends this, and this is a huge memory for me because I was in her exact shoes 1 year after that date, to the date, as an intern in her job with her boss, enrolled at Belmont in Nashville. If I hadn't went out and shook her hand and was forward about it, probably wouldn't have even come to Nashville, and things wouldn't have played out the way they did. So always shake hands with people, always put yourself out there, and I'll always remember that too. So those two moments are pretty cool to me.
I love that memory so much. What is kind of your songwriting process from start to finish?
I'm a very poor disciplined songwriter at this moment, not in general. This season for me is very artist heavy and shows, and so I usually go through seasons of songwriting. In the fall and the winter, I'm writing 5, 6, 7 times a week. I stack up 8 a.m., 11 a.m. I usually do 8 to 11, take an hour for lunch, 2 hours for lunch, and it usually goes over 3 hours for a co-write. And then I start at 1 again into like 4:35, and then an option for a night write. So I'm usually doing 2 a day in the winter and the fall because summer's so crazy. But I also don't want to be a machine either. I find that the best songs that I write are ones that are just intuitively kind of inspired in the moment, like where I'm not trying to write as many in a day. And so that usually comes with an idea. It comes with somebody saying something. Sometimes I'll see something on TV and I'll write it down. I'm good friends with my Memos app on my phone. This voice Memos app, I've got all these song ideas in here, just like,
oh my gosh, I love that.
Just waiting to be worked on.
Yeah, so I'll just go about and I'll record it on my notes app. I just write stuff down, and I usually try to build out a verse chorus, and then I'll bring in my buddies and say, hey, how can we build this? That usually helps. But man, there's no formula. There's no yes or no or right or wrong. It kind of is just free flowing. And the season that I'm in right now, when I first moved here to town, when you first moved to Nashville, you want to write with as many people as possible. And of course I do too. But then you hit a point where, your energy as an artist is valuable, right? I'm not just a songwriter. I'm a performer. So you have to learn to balance. Goes back to that balance thing, right? You have to learn to balance all these things. And so now when I'm co-writing, it's usually when I'm inspired to, and those songs are always the best. Like Go Birds was spur of the moment on an airplane, and it took me 3 months to write just because I wanted it to be perfect. It turned out great, but I only did it when I felt like it. It wasn't forced. Those songs are usually the ones that kind of stick out to me. And then, sometimes you write them in 20 minutes. They just come like that. There's no right or wrong way, but when I'm writing, I usually write with the intention of either wanting to do it myself as an artist or pitching it to a specific artist. Not recently have I written just to write, which sounds terrible as a songwriter in Nashville. Everybody wants to write, every day, and it's kind of expected of you. But I found that my best routine is just doing it when I feel inspired, which is usually every other day. It's definitely helped me fine-tune my songs and which ones I want to put out, and also fine-tune how I'm spending my energy elsewhere. It's a whole science. It's crazy, man. It's a whole process, but hopefully that kind of gave some insight into it.
You just mentioned this, so I'll kind of jump into this question. You mentioned your Go Birds song.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Go Birds.
That's how I was introduced to you, actually.
Go Birds.
Yeah, it came up on my algorithm. That's how I first found your music. So that's a funny story. But what does it mean to write songs like Go Birds and then Ring That Bell, like Philly sports rally songs, and have them received so well? Like, what does that mean to you?
I don't know if the Philly song was received so well, but the Eagles one definitely was. And it's so funny because you never know what's going to click. You can't do it, but you got to do it because you love it, right? And at the end of the day, it's just me kind of veering off in the deep end, being like, let's just have fun here. I'm working on two records right now, both 12 songs each, that I'm going to drop later this year and spring next year. 2 separate albums that are truly my stuff. To veer off in the deep end and experiment with sounds has kind of shown me, what to do, what not to do. It was so cool seeing how much love comes from the town. Like, even if they hate a song or love a song, they still love the fact that they have a guy doing music. Even if they don't like it, they're like, nah, we still have that guy. We have the guy that we don't like. Philly is just like that. You got to have tough skin, right? Having grown up in the area, you got to have it. People aren't going to like it. People will like it. You can't expect that. You have to expect that. But man, it was so cool to see how Go Birds, I dropped like a little snippet online, and within 72 hours, it got over 1 million views on all platforms. It started growing instantly because I don't think it had been done before. I was just like, oh, let me tease this. I wasn't even going to put the song out. I texted my buddy Tyler, who produced it and wrote it with me. My mom wrote it with me too. And I was like, yo, dude, is there a way we can like tease this or get this done before Christmas? Because he was heading home for Christmas to Jersey. He's from Jersey, but he lives here. Actually, we're meeting up tonight. And he was like, yeah, I'm literally here for 3 more days. So we turned it around in 3 days, the whole song. And it still needed to be finished written. So by the time I posted that Instagram video, it was the one that went like crazy. It was like, what if there was a Dallas Cowboys fan, an Eagles fan? It was that one. The song wasn't even done when I posted that. So I had to scramble quick because I had to put it out. And I was like, this is going to be huge. So he did it. It's a testament to the guys I try to surround myself with. They work their asses off. So talented. And that's where the discipline comes in. You have to be prepared for that stuff. That is one of my favorite songs. And the other thing, too, is like that song really got so much love from the media. It got love from fans, new fans, from you guys. I didn't know you guys, without posting that. And here's what I learned with the Philly song. The Philly song was the complete opposite, right? There were the people who loved it, right? I know you guys probably love it. There's people that love it just as much as the Eagles one, but for some reason, people went out of their way just a little more to comment about the Philly song. I won't say the comments on here because some of them can't be said, but they're in the comment section. I'm just like, you gotta love it, man. I'm like, this is Philly. This is classic. It's whatever. I laugh at it with my friends, and people were crazy, man. It's like a 3-minute song. At the end of the day, I think it's great, and it's a hype song. The team actually almost used it to celebrate their home runs. They still might. I have yet to get confirmation on that, but I have a colleague over there who DJs at the stadium. It hit a lot of Philly's people. Everything always works out as it's supposed to, but the love from the whole city and Jersey and New York, like the whole area, dude, it was insane. And it's just only growing. And I can't believe it because, like, I thought, I don't know, like, I'm just a guy from Philly that just loves music and lives in Nashville, but apparently people are digging it. So I got to put more out. But I think my Philly era songs I think I've done a good job with those. I'm going to do another version of a certain song, and then another one. And then I want to put out an EP with all the Philly stuff on it later this year. So it'll be like a 215 tapes type of thing. You're the first guys to know that. But anyway, it'll be cool. It'll kind of have everything all together, separate from my Nashville stuff. But yeah, man, it's been a cool ride, and to be able to meet you guys and to meet everybody that came from it has just been so surreal.
How do you transition from making like a sports song, Go Birds and Ring That Bell, into a song like Stone Harbor? How do you, well, I guess it was vice versa. How do you kind of go from that transition, and what did the production of Stone Harbor look like?
Before Go Birds and Ring That Bell, I had dropped, I think, 11 or 12 songs. So I've been releasing music steadily for 5 years. It's time for an album. It wasn't really until I put out the Go Birds song to where people started noticing my music. And then most people who saw the Go Birds song didn't do a deep dive, and there's still 12 songs there that people just haven't heard. You know, that's how music works. But man, Stone Harbor was, I think, the first inception of kind of the Philly hometown buzz. My family has a place in Stone Harbor, and I grew up my whole life going down the shore to Wildwood, Stone Harbor. I was like, man, why don't I write a song about somewhere I love? I wrote it with my friend Taylor Teasley. I wrote it like 4 years ago. And I never did anything with it. I was like, nah, I don't think people are going to like this. And so I was like, you know what, screw it, let's do it. And that was 2 years ago. That summer, it blew up. I remember I put it out on a Friday, and the next morning on Saturday, it was on the news on Fox 29 Philadelphia. Literally, the music video was on TV. I woke up, and my uncle woke me up. He's like, dude, you're on TV. And I'm like, what? And so I walk out in the living room down the shore, and it was literally on the TV. I was like, this is so freaking cool. So that was like the first moment, first batch of good press that I've ever received, and we'll always remember that. And the guys at Fox, they're great. It kind of snowballed from there. The Inquirer picked it up, NBC picked it up, and there was some ABC stuff, and that kind of started the buzz. And then I did Go Birds a year later, which was this past January, and a year and a half later, and that did what it did. Team commented, players heard it. I mean, it went everywhere. The Phillies song, the same thing. So in my mind, it's like I'm just making music that I love. Like the production on Stone Harbor is really more kind of what I identify with, and Go Birds too. Ring That Bell was just a curveball, me just having fun. I'm like, I could write a baseball country song. I've got 10 of them that I could put out. But I'm like, well, this is kind of cool. And I was like, let's just do it. Let's have fun here. So it was either that one or a song called When Baseball Comes Around that I was going to drop. And I might still drop that one, but they're both great. And one's about the Phillies, the Ring That Bell, and the other one's just kind of general. They're all different, but at the end of the day, one, I do it because I love it. But two, the Stone Harbor I'm a country artist, right? So that's my bread and butter. It's what I love. It's what I grew up with. The Ring That Bell. I don't know how I pulled it off, but somehow we pulled it off. And I think it sounds pretty good for a country guy. So you never know, man. And that might lead to a sync deal with MLB Network or the show or something. I mean, you never know. So, but I was pretty proud of myself for that one, for pulling out a hip hop song. And it charted number 1 on iTunes. So pretty cool stuff.
From all the different musicians we've talked to, they always emphasize how creative music allows you to be. So then you have songs like your Philly sports songs that are a little bit different than what you're used to. But then you can also write songs that are more like traditional, based on places you love, like Stone Harbor, which is awesome.
Totally, man. And, Go Birds at heart is a love song. It's about falling in love with this Cowboys fan who just can't get enough of you, and she can't help it, she just looks so good in green. But at the end of the day, that's what it's about, and it just happens to have Eagles themes in it. But it's really a love song. It's really just a traditional country song, which is so fascinating to me because you can plug any team in there. I had a buddy hit me up the other day. He's like, we should write a Seahawks song together because I'm a Seahawks fan. I saw your Go Birds stuff, and I'm like, I can help out, but I don't know if I want my name on it. But, I might get crucified. But it's cool, man, to see the impact it's having. And at the end of the day, it's a love song. And Ring That Bell is a Philly sports hype song. It's interesting to see how one does incredibly well and the other does well, but has more feedback to it. I'm still trying to understand what all that means and interpreting it. It's fascinating, man. Sometimes you can't even understand Philly fans because it's just all over the map and don't make sense.
We're brutally honest for the good or the worst.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So again, now looking at Philly sports, what do you think of the Eagles this year? What's your prediction? They're going to be any good?
Man, if we don't go to the Super Bowl, I'm going to be very mad. I don't know how he does it every year. He just somehow does it, man. And here's the thing, too. I was talking to this buddy Martin I met the other day at Morgan Wallen concert in Nashville, and we were talking about the Eagles, and I told him, I'm like, man, let's say we don't get the Super Bowl this year, at least the playoffs, which if we don't make the playoffs, something's very wrong. If we don't get to the Super Bowl, we're building a long-term team, right? We're building the foundation for the probability of success to grow. We want it this year. Yeah, we want it every year, right? The fact of the matter is like we took our team from 80% to 95%, and you can't win every game, but chances are way higher that 1 year out of the next 5, we're going to have a Super Bowl ring, right? So I think that's kind of the goal that the team was going for. And, maybe they prove themselves wrong and get a bunch. I don't know, but which I hope. That would be great. I think that the approach of the draft and how they drafted and how they restructured their entire squad is absolutely so filthy and insane. And the coaching staff. The other thing, too, is like everybody was shitting on all the new hires that they got. They're trying to build talent around. For example, we got that Chargers coach, right? The offensive coordinator. I forget his name.
Yeah, Kellen, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, for example, right? Like in LA, garbage, right? People are like, oh, he's shit. Why is he coming to Philly? But he actually works very well statistically with some of the players that we have. So his strengths might be in one specific area, but that's where we're trying to build our team, right? But for the Chargers, it might not be that. Not every coach is fit for different areas, but I think that the Eagles were very intentional about who they were building player-wise and what specific coaches and different skill sets they could get to get the best performance out of the players. So we got Barkley now. Hurts was just ranked number 2 in the NFL, finally back where he belongs in the top 5 at least. Last year, I don't know why all those critics were still shitting on Hurts because he literally – I know he had a bad couple games at the end of the season, but, like, he's still one of the best quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
People are nuts. Anyway, he's back where he belongs in the top of the league for QBs. We've got Barkley. We got A.J. Brown. We've got Devontae Smith. We got Cooper DeJean now. We got Darius Slay. Dude, we're stacked. Goddard, Mailata, Lane Johnson. How are you breaking that? It's too good, man.
Be unstoppable.
And Landon Dickerson, he seems like a beast now that Kelsey's like, they're just going to like just push him to the max, dude, and just he's going to become a beast. He already is a beast, but he's going to be even bigger beast. It's insane what they're doing, and it's kind of like the Phillies right now, too, who, for some miraculous reason, are playing the way they were intended to play, with all the stars on the lineup. But I don't want to jinx it, knock on wood. They're having a great run, and I think we'll destroy them with the Braves in the first round again. It'll be great. It's fun living here in Nashville. It's all Braves fans down here. I was at the Morgan concert last week, and everybody's wearing, like, Austin Riley jerseys. And I'm like, the hell is this? I look at my phone, and Phillies are above the Braves. I'm like, you guys, it doesn't even matter. We're first. I don't care. It's going to be a fun year with these teams. We'll see. The Flyers shit the bed at the end of the season. I love the Flyers, but something went wrong. They were so good, too, for the longest time. And then, they were projected to pretty well in the playoffs, and then they just tanked. And then the Sixers, of course, we all know what just happened to the Sixers, to the New York specifically, of all teams, and you got to love it, But on the average, I think the Phillies and the Eagles are in the best position to do something playoff-wise, championship-wise. I never talk about them, but the Union made it to the championship last year, so there's that. I don't know. They have Nashville SC down here, and they're pretty cool. There's a stadium over here. I went to the Union game. They beat us. They beat Nashville.
You wanted the Union to win, though, right?
Oh, yeah. But Nashville won. That's fine. But it's weird because, you live here, and I'm not near the Flyers or Phillies team, so whenever they come, the Eagles aren't playing the Titans this year because they're shit, right? There's no chance. Flyers always play the Preds in Nashville once a year, so I always try to go to that game. I went to the Preds-Canucks game, and that was crazy. Game 3. There was 10 fights, and playoff hockey is just another atmosphere. Mm-hmm. But I was like, man, this isn't Philly, though. You got to do what you can work with. I can't be ungrateful down here. But I definitely try to go to as many games as I can. Actually, the Flyers hit me up. A sales rep from the Flyers hit me up yesterday. He's like, dude, how many games do you want to go to this year? And I'm like, how many are you giving away? He's like, at least half. I'm like, I need 10 because I travel so much. And he was only selling only half or more games. I was like, I would love to get up there. You guys are, you're in Pittsburgh, Logan, but Caleb's got it good. Mm-hmm. You can go to the Steelers games. Do you go to Steelers games?
No, I go to usually at least one a year.
Not as good though, right?
No, they're boring. Their offense stinks.
Is Heinz Field cool though? I've never been to Heinz Field.
Yeah, Heinz Field is a cool area. Yeah, it's
not
cool.
The link though.
Yeah,
not even close. The Pirates Stadium is known for being a really good ballpark. PNC Park.
Good team, but great stadium, man. That's usually how it goes is they spend all their money on a stadium and they don't pay their players. It's like,
right.
Look at the Raiders, dude. Their stadium's insane. I toured it last summer, Allegiant. It's beautiful. It's the best place on earth. And yet the team is the worst in football. It's just how it works. But I'm going to Dallas next week, and I'm doing a tour of Arlington Stadium, the Cowboys Stadium, AT&T. So that'll be fun. I've never been. But I'm wearing green.
Good.
Yes, sir. That's what we
Good
like
answer.
to do.
Can you highlight a favorite Eagle and a favorite Philly of all time? Is that possible?
All time? Oh, Philly, probably Chase Utley. I love Chase Utley. It just doesn't get better than Chase Utley, man. Eagle, maybe Brian Westbrook or Brian Dawkins or Deshaun Jackson's great too. I'd probably say Deshaun Jackson for the Eagles or Brian Westbrook, but had both their jerseys. But yeah, Philly's Chase Utley, and I would throw Roy Halladay on there too.
Both great answers.
And Nick Foles, Big Dick Nick.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's the jersey you got on, Caleb, right?
Yeah, I got
Dude, I got a Foles jersey in the closet. I should have brought it on.
We were looking through your Instagram photos, and I found an eerily similar.
I'm sorry that you had to do that. I apologize.
I love your content, and I found a eerily similar photo to what I post when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I just wanted to show everyone because it's kind of similar.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Is that the one of me at Buffalo Wild Wings?
Yeah, because I was looking through and I saw the reaction. It's like so similar, and that's when I was like younger and watching it for the first time, and I just like it was like the same pose and everything, and I was like so excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy that we have like similar like reactions to like almost the same play because we were both reacting to like the Super Bowl and everything.
That's insane, man. I was with my ex-girlfriend for that one, the one I told you about. But I was at Buffalo Wild Wings, and we went there to watch the game because we didn't have cable in the dorm room. And I think there was like something else going on in the basement that had a TV. Either way, I wanted to go get wings or something. So we went out, and dude, I threw up right after. In the video, I don't know if you watched the whole thing, but at the end of me screaming, I throw up on the floor because I screamed so hard. It was the best moment. How do you recreate that? It's just so great, man. Actually, you know what? After this, I'm going to repost it on my story just because it's so great. But no, that was fun, man. It looked like you almost threw up too in that photo.
I was jumping. There was everything in my stomach that I had before was jostling all around, and it was right after the Philly special too. So it was like going into halftime, like, oh my gosh, we're up big time now. We might have a chance and everything.
And I get chills every time I watch that. They do like these little TikTok snippets of it, and I'm like, wow, it's just chills, man. Almost like, what was that, last postseason, or was it the one before, or the Phillies were? Oh, no, it was against the Cardinals. They were down, like, I think 4 runs in the bottom of the 9th or something, or I don't know what it was. It may have been the 8th or the 9th, and the Phillies score 6. Just everything goes wrong for St. Louis. It's kind of like that, or like a Hoskins home run in the playoffs. That one, was it a grand slam? I don't know if it was a grand slam. I know Harper hit a bomber. I don't know. I gotta look, but there's some specific moments that are just like so cool. It's cool when you can remember them too, like where you were. Where were you? You said
my family gathered at one of my uncles and aunts' house, and there was like 25, 30 of us all in Eagle jerseys, like celebrating, and we were all yelling. And my entire like family are huge Eagle fans. Everyone started crying. My grandpa started crying. I started crying. My dad started crying right after we won, and it was just like such a fun memory.
Where were you, Logan?
I was at one of my parents' work parties, had a watch party.
Okay.
So we were all there. Yeah, we all remember Super Bowl. Yeah.
So good. And Tom Brady's still salty about it.
Yes.
Good.
You watched his roast the other day?
Oh, no. I saw clips of it, and I was meaning to watch it, but I didn't get a chance to.
It's so good. But they mentioned Bill Belichick, and they didn't even talk about Nick Foles and not shaking his hand or anything. They should have brought that up. I think he's still salty.
Definitely is.
Yeah, he should be. All right, Holdyn, just to be mindful of your time, Caleb's going to wrap us up here.
Sweet.
What does your future look like? Do you have any new music planned? You mentioned some here and there, touring, any collabs on those future songs?
I guess I'll just spill all the beans now. I'm working on doing a 215 tapes EP, which will have Go Birds. It'll have a full version of Go Birds, which I'm recording tonight, which I'm very excited. If you notice, it says acoustic on it. Everyone's always like, why does it say acoustic? And I'm like, well, that's because that's the acoustic version. There's another version coming. So it's going to have that. I'm going to time that with the season, but you guys are the first ones to know that. I'm going to do Ring That Bell on it, 2 Go Birds, so 3 of those. Maybe Stone Harbor on there because it's the area. And then haven't decided what the 5th one is, but I've got a few that I'm going to choose from. I'm going to drop an album in a couple weeks, which I've been very quiet about. But that's going to have everything I've done plus a few more just to kind of tie the ribbon on them, chuck them away, because I have another song that's going to come right after that that's of the new batch. And then that's going to lead to an EP in the fall with more stuff. And then another second full album spring next year. So lots of music, Lots of shows. I'm playing CMA Fest in Nashville here this June, which I'm so hype about. First time playing it. I can't say yet, but I'm about to play a festival in Wildwood. Can't say what that is, but I'm sure you guys know. I'm doing a Stone Harbor Water Tower concert. It's free. You guys should come on out. It'll be fun. 2-hour headline set, bringing some buddies, and yeah, it's going to be good. Yeah, just a lot of solo stuff. I'm just trying to get as much out there as possible. But yeah, busy year. I don't know how I don't freak out when I look at my calendar, but somehow we're going to make it all work. And because I do everything myself right now, so it would be nice to get a tour manager at some point to help scheduling. I kind of like doing it all right now because it's going well, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, lots of good stuff.
We're excited. When is that first album you were talking about coming out? You said a couple weeks.
I'm thinking of doing it mid-June just to get all the stuff that I've done out, rebrand it all with the new branding, get some new songs tagged on it, and that can kind of be like my first years of Nashville album type of thing. And then after that, I'll do an EP with all my Philly stuff. I'll drop an EP with my new Nashville stuff in the fall as well. And then come spring, I'll have another brand new album, which will have those songs plus like 6 or 7 more. So that should be enough to carry, maybe a Christmas song too. That should be enough to carry me through next year. And hopefully by that point, get a booking agency deal. So
right.
We'll see what happens, getting on some bigger bills, some bigger shows, and get in front of the fans and do it. And yeah, we're going to make it happen. It's a big year.
What are your social media? Do you want to plug any like social media?
So I've got my full name, Holdyn Barder Music on Instagram, Holdyn Barder Music on Facebook. TikTok is all Holdyn Barder Music. The only one that's just Holdyn Barder, no music, is Twitter, which the whole handle thing is like they verified me 3 years ago, which I'm so grateful for on Instagram and Facebook. But once you're verified and you have a contact at Instagram, you can't change your username to just Holdyn Barder. So
right.
I'm stuck with Holdyn Barder Music, which I'm fine with, but I don't know. I kind of like just my name, but that's a tiny OCD thing. Anyway, I've got all that on there. I've got my website, holdynbarder.com. I do have that, and that's got my tour dates and music and shows and whatever you could think of, bio, everything. And all my social links are on there too. So yeah, totally. Check it out. Spotify, Apple Music. I'm all over wherever you listen to music. So lots of good stuff coming.
Everything we can find. Yep. Sounds good.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was such a pleasure getting
thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll wrap this up because he said he had to get going here. So.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Heck yeah. I appreciate you guys.